Okay, so we're going to set goals, and I have a goal to sell 36 homes. So 36 units closed. Awesome. That's my goal for the year. And I have a goal to take 24 seller listings. Yeah, if you can't read that, it says listings. And because I know my conversion ratio from a listing appointment to a listing taken is 50%, I have a goal to go on 48 listing appointments. Now, this is how we typically set goals. And the whole idea behind the 12-week year is this doesn't work for most people. It doesn't work for most people because there's a lack of urgency. January ends and we didn't have 4 listing appointments. That's how many we would need every month in order to hit our goal of 48. No big deal, we got 11 months to go. We didn't take 2 seller listings. Again, no big deal, we have 11 months to go. Now, we're going to teach you a different way of setting goals and a different way to build a big business. And what I did is I reread the 12-week year. And I'm just going to go through some of my highlights in the first 11 pages. And if you don't have a copy of the book so you can take notes, please get a copy and take notes later. If you don't know what to highlight, if you can't highlight because you don't have a copy of a book, just take notes on what to highlight later on. And then I took notes. I'm going to tell you what I wrote down. All right, so page 1, the challenge. If you could fully tap your potential, what might be different for you? If you could fully tap your potential, what might be different for you? And the note that I wrote down next to that is, what is your potential? And how do you know? Most people don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about that. And understand that when I say most people, I'm talking 90% plus, maybe 99%, because you're in rare air if you actually follow the models that we teach. In other words, you don't just take notes, you don't just listen. It's not entertainment for you. You actually implement what you hear. That's rare. It's also a choice. So don't hear that it's not possible. Don't hear that most people fail. I want you to hear most people choose to fail. Just choose not to fail. How would your life change if each and every day you performed up to your full potential? Great question. All I can do is all I can do, and all I can do is enough when I do all I can do. All I can do is all I can do, and all I can do is enough when I do all I can do. So at the end of the day, have you done all you can do, or is there gas left in the tank? How would your life change if each and every day you performed up to your full potential? What would be different 6 months, 3 years, and 5 years down the road if each day you were at your best? Take time in your journal and make a list of what would be different. So the question that the author asked was, what would be different 6 months, 3 years, and 5 years down the road if each day you were at your best? So what I would like for you to do is to get your journal, and you have a journal because you write in it every day, because you implement what you learn here. And I want you to actually make a list of what would be different. He asked the question. Don't just read it, do it. Take the time to write down what would be different 6 months from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. You see, the problem with most people is they think 30 days at a time. The reason we don't have more millionaires is because most of us think 30 days at a time. We make plans based on 30 days. We spend money based on 30 days. If you actually stopped and thought, what do I want my life to look like a year from now? And then you made decisions based on that, would you make different decisions? You see, everything is a choice. If you don't have as much money as you want in order to be able to pay the bills and take care of your children, don't get mad at me, okay? But that's a choice. You make that choice every day when you decide to eat hamburger or prime rib. I could go on, but you get the point, okay? I'm a quote ninja. I love quotes. Here's the first one. If we did the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. Thomas Edison. All right, I'm skipping to page 7. Redefining the year. Most people in most organizations, for that matter, don't lack ideas. The breakdown is not knowing. The breakdown is not in knowing, but applying. You hear that? We know what to do. Do we apply what we know? Another quote, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. Most of us judge people based on their actions. We judge ourselves based on intention. Most people judge other people based on their actions. We judge ourselves based on our intention. Now, there is no difference between a person who intends on doing something and doesn't do it and another person who has no intention at all. No difference. Now listen again, quote comes from Henry Ford. You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. Discard annualized thinking. At the heart of annualized thinking is an unspoken belief that there is plenty of time in the year to make things happen. In January, December looks a long way off. True. Page 8, top of the page. We mistakenly believe that there is a lot of time left in the year and we act accordingly. We lack a sense of urgency, not realizing that every week is important. Every day is important. Every moment is important. Ultimately, effective execution happens daily and weekly.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to set the thing into.
You didn't get rid of everybody, did you? No, they're still on my screen. Okay. What would your day look like if you had to? Had to is in caps. These are my notes. These are the questions that I ask myself. Every time I read a book, I put questions in the margins. And since this time I'm reading the 12-week year on Kindle, it's not in my book, I'm writing notes. And the note that I wrote, and usually my notes are questions. And the question is, what would your day look like if you had to hit your lead generation standards, again, in all caps, every day? Had to. Your life depended on it. The life of someone you loved depended on it. It's the Colin, that's my son, for those of you who don't know. It's the Colin Disney story. Had to. Had to. There was no, well, I hope we find him. We're going to give it our best shot. We'll do the best we can do. I'm tired. I think I'll stop. It was find him or die trying. Now, what if you approached your daily lead generation standards with the same mindset? What could you do? The answer to that question is everything and anything. Bottom of the page. The fact is, every week counts. This week counts. How many work days are left in May? Do you know that answer? You should. You should. You should know that answer. You shouldn't have to say, well, wait a minute, let me check. If the coach asked the quarterback during a timeout how much time is left in the quarter, the quarterback wouldn't say, hey, coach, give me a moment, let me check. I promise you he knows the answer, or he's not the quarterback. Every day counts, every moment counts. We need to be conscious of the reality that execution happens daily and weekly, not monthly or quarterly. Execution happens daily, not monthly, not quarterly. And what does that mean to me? It simply means that every day I'm adding 2 people to my pipeline. That's it. What's the one thing that I could do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier and necessary? Focus question from the one thing. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Well, for me, it's add 2 people to my pipeline every single day. That's it. In order to perform at your best, you will need to get out of the annual mode and scrub your annualized thinking. Stop thinking in terms of a year. Instead, focus on shorter time frames. The annual execution cycle blinds people to the reality that life is lived in the moment and that ultimately success is created in the moment. It lulls people into believing that they can put things off. Critical activity and still accomplish what they desire, still achieving their goals. At this point, you might argue, now listen close because this is a good point. At this point, you might argue that almost every organization operates this way. And it's true, including Keller Williams, Coral Springs. Every year we start with a 1-3-5. It's also known as a GPS. The G is goal, P is priorities, S is strategies. And the 1-3-5 is based on what's my one goal for the year, what are the 3 priorities that I have in order to achieve that one goal, and what are the 5 strategies under each of those priorities. That's how we work. And most organizations work that way. And a lot of them succeed. You might argue that almost every organization operates this way, and many of them hit their goals and make plans.
Listen, go ahead.
I would argue back that making plan does not mean they are accomplishing what they are capable of. Here's my point. If you planned out your year based on, I'm going to sell 34 units, I'm going to have 36 closings. I'm going to take 24 listings. I'm going to go on 48 listing appointments. And at the end of the year, you hit the goal. And you would say, John, tubla boobla, it worked. I don't need what you're teaching me. Well, listen to the last sentence of this paragraph. I would argue back that making plan does not mean that you are accomplishing what you are capable of. Could you have done more? So here's the note that I wrote. What is your lid? Where is your lid? Have you reached your potential? How do you know? What would your day, week, and month look like if you had to, in capitals, had to accomplish the same level of production in half the time? You had to hit the same goals in half the time? Could you do it? What would you do different? Increase production or more time. If you had to choose one, which would you choose? Increase production or more time. If you had to choose one, which would you choose? And what if I could show you how you could have both? If you're hitting your goals in half the time, you're either going to up your goals or you're going to have more time to spend with your family. And if I'm talking to an agent that's selling, we'll stick with the number behind me. They're selling 36 homes a year, Nick. Average commission is $10,000. That's $360,000. Let's just say they're netting $300,000. Cool, life is good. Now, in interviewing an average of 50 real estate agents a month for the past 7 years, you just calculate it, that's a lot. And I ask almost every single one of them, if you could have more money or more time with your family, which would you choose? Most of them choose more time with my family. Now, that same agent who's working 60, 70 hours a week, netting $360,000. Madeline, if that was you, you're netting $360,000 a year and you're working 60, 70 hours a week. Now, let's just go with 60, okay? 60. If I was able to show you how you can net the same amount of money working 30 hours a week,
yes.
would that be a conversation you would like to have?
Absolutely.
Right? Now watch this. Guys, listen to Madeline. This is not planned. If it was 250, but instead of working 60 hours a week, you're only working 30 hours a week. So you have that additional 30 hours a week to spend with your family. And instead of netting 300,000, you're netting 250. Would you be okay with that?
I'm okay with that too.
You're okay with that? Yeah. Yeah. What if it was 200? You're netting $200,000 a year, only working 30 hours a week.
Well, I want to work 30 hours a week and make more money.
Okay. Okay. Now, most people would say, John, sure. They have a financial thermostat. We all do. We just found Madeline's, which is cool.
Yes.
And most people, well, Madeline, I'll say it like this. There's nothing, there's
250,000 a year.
There it is. There it is.
That
And
makes me happy, and it's not too much, and it's not too little, and I would be satisfied right now.
And there's nothing uniquely special about you. Don't take that the wrong way. There's nothing uniquely special about you. Most people think the same way you do. Well, then the question becomes, how do we get there? Now, if I told you, this is going to sound like a giant sales pitch, and I promise it's not. If I told you the answer to how do you get there is sign up for that class that we're having on the 12-week year, buy this book, start studying it, implement what you're learning.
John, the book is 45% off on Amazon.
There you go.
And the book is part of the fee.
Okay, so nobody's shared the,
Surely, I sent it.
it's okay, it's all good, it's all good. I'm gonna do it. You don't want to look at that. You want, what am I looking at? Don't look at any of these numbers, guys. How quickly can I make them go away? There we go. Don't want that either. By the time I do this, somebody else is gonna put this in the chat. I know they are. This is fascinating. Hold on, guys. There it is. You can screenshot that. See that little QR code? Screenshot it. Whoever's baby is crying, that's beautiful. Not
Oh
bothering,
my God.
not bothering
I'm
me.
sorry, John.
It's okay, Hervé. It's
I
adorable. All
apologize.
right, I'm gonna quit trying to share this because it's just awkward.
Where can we pick that up? Where can we,
Courtney emailed it to you.
Okay.
those emails?
All right, talk to me. Give me your ahas.